Hey everybody, I'm Tim Mooney. I am back with Shakespeare's Dirty Jokes. This time, the jokes are starting to take on a different tone in Act 4 of Twelfth Night. As you can see, I'm not in my usual performance space today. I'm on the road with a performance of Lotto Shakespeare in Florida, but as we approach the last two acts of Twelfth Night, I couldn't let a week go by without jumping back into it. As you know, my recent experience performing Breakneck Twelfth Night surprised me with the number of dirty jokes Shakespeare piled up in this show, and so I thought it would be a good idea to collect them all in one place, if only because finding the scandalous humor hiding in Shakespeare is the most reliable way to get young minds interested in studying his work. In Act 4, the humor seems to take a significant turn. The outrageous, zany, and dirty tone of the play seems to have climaxed in Act 3, Scene 2, with Malvolio parading and preening in his outrageous, nearly grotesque yellow stockings. The level this humor reached was so very much over the top that Shakespeare simply cannot outdo himself. We do still care about the characters, and Shakespeare needs to keep us invested in the plot more than in the outrage. Mind you, the sexual confusion that is played under the action throughout remains, and is still at the heart of the several exchanges we see in this act, but Shakespeare decides that it's also time to return us to the main plot he has established. Up until now, we've been able to laugh at the fact that Olivia has fallen in love with a woman pretending to be a man. That woman, Viola, happens to be a twin with her brother, and that brother is going to wander into the scene only to be mistaken by Olivia for Cesario, the man that Viola was pretending to be. And that man quickly finds himself, in turn, falling in love with Olivia. The sexual confusion continues, but in a different key. First, Feste mistakes Sebastian for Cesario, and amid the confusion, Sebastian tells Feste to vent his folly somewhere else. Folly is a word we don't use very often these days, but it means foolishness. The irony of this is that in doing so, Sebastian is calling the fool foolish, which is a little bit like complaining that water is wet. Sir Andrew and Sir Toby enter, now confident that Cesario is a coward, having clearly been terrified during their recent duel. And so Andrew, mistaking Sebastian as Cesario, slaps him, entirely unprepared for a much more macho Cesario to slap back harder and several times. Andrew freaks out and, coward that he is, threatens to file a suit against Sebastian for a fight that he himself started. Shakespeare continues to play with sexual confusion. After all, a duel is the most macho thing these men might engage in, but Andrew's machismo collapses like a wilting flower the moment he gets any pushback. Toby takes up the theme, drawing his sword on Sebastian, but he too wilts, this time in the face of his niece telling him off. Olivia begs Cesario's forgiveness, and Sebastian falls immediately in love, to Olivia's great shock and joyful surprise. In Scene 2, we return to the plot against Malvolio, who is now locked away in Olivia's cellar. Already victim to Mariah and Toby's plotting, they are taking it further in a joke that may be even more shocking than all of the cross-dressing humor up to this point. This time, they engage Feste to cross-dress into a priest's robe. And if that was not scandalous enough, Feste shrugs it off with the suggestion that many a priest before him has pretended to be something that he is not. When Toby addresses Feste as Master Parson, Feste responds with a kind of existential humor in which he sees himself as being whatever he happens to be called, or being whatever he is, which may remind us of the play's subtitle, What You Will. Shakespeare doesn't quite make it explicit, but for this scene to work, we have to assume that Malvolio, locked away in a dark basement, cannot see the parson addressing him from what we assume is outside his blacked out window. While Malvolio initially hopes that Master Parson will be his savior, Feste finds elaborate ways of taking religious offense at everything Malvolio says, accusing him of talking of nothing but ladies, and risking the killing of his own grandmother for failing to believe in the soul's potential reincarnation through an animal. Feste returns, now as himself, again tangling Malvolio up in double talk to confuse him into a seeming insanity. Since Malvolio cannot see him, Feste reverts to his Master Parson voice, switching back and forth in a conversation with Master Parson, warning Feste not to trouble the insane prisoner. Malvolio is reduced to begging Feste for paper, ink, and light, so that Malvolio can write a letter of complaint to Olivia, who he still imagines is in love with him. Feste agrees to fetch these, but not without first adding to Malvolio's torment with a bit of a song about madness and the devil. Again, these are not quite dirty jokes, but very irreverent and more than a little bit sacrilegious. The very sort of jokes that fit with the Mardi Gras type themes this play has been toying with throughout. Finally, Act 4, Scene 3 is the one scene that is pretty much not dirty at all. Which is not to say that it is not funny. It's just a scene about two people falling in love and deciding to get married. What does make it funny is that we know what they do not. Neither of them knows just who they are marrying. And Olivia thinks she is about to marry an entirely different person. It's sweet, it feels natural, but because we know better, it's still filled with the humor that stems from dramatic irony. Well, I think that gives us plenty to think about. Here's Act 4 of Breakneck Twelfth Night. Act 4, Scene 1. Before Viola's house, enter Sebastian and Feste. Will you make me believe I am not sent for you? Go to, you are but a foolish fellow. Nay, I do not know you, nor am I sent to you by me lady, nor your name is not Master Cesario, nor this is not me knows neither. Nothing that is so, is so. I prithee, vent thy folly somewhere else. Vent me folly? He has heard that word of some great man, and now applies it to a fool. Vent me folly? Tell me what I shall vent to me lady. Shall I vent that thou art coming? I prithee depart. There's money for you. If you tarry longer, I shall give worse payment. Enter Sir Toby and Sir Andrew, who now assume that Sebastian is the cowardly Cesario. Now, sir, have I met you again? There's for you. Why? There's for thee, and there are all the people mad? Nay, I'll have an action of battery upon him if there be any law in Illyria. Though I struck him first, yet it's no matter for that. Toby challenges Sebastian to draw his sword just as Olivia enters. Hold, Toby, upon thy life, I charge thee, hold. Madam, will it be ever thus? Ungracious wretch, out of my sight. Toby and Andrew slink away. Be not offended, dear Cesario. I prithee, gentle friend, go with me to my house, and hear how many fruitless pranks this ruffian hath botched up. He started one poor heart of mine and me. What relish is this? How runs the stream? Or I am mad, or else this is a dream. If it be thus to dream, still let me sleep. Nay, come, I pray, wouldst thou be ruled by me? Madame, I will. Oh, say so, and so be. Scene 2. In front of the dark cellar of Olivia's house. Enter Feste and Maria. Here, put on this gown and this beard. Make him think thou art Sir Topus the curate. Feste puts on the priest's robe. Well, I will put it on, and I will dissemble myself in it. And I would I were the first to dissemble in such a gown. Enter Sir Toby. Jove bless thee, Master Parson. Buenos dias, Signor Toby. As the old hermit of Prague said to a niece of King Gorboduc, that is. So I, being Master Parson, am Master Parson. For what is that but that, and is but is. To him, Sir Topus. Feste approaches the darkened cellar window. What ho! Peace in this prison! Malvolio answers from within. Who calls there? Sir Topus the curate, who comes to visit Malvolio the lunatic.
Good Sir Topus, go to my lady. Out, hyperbolical fiend, talkest thou of nothing but ladies? Never was man more wronged, Sir Topus. They have laid me here in hideous darkness. Fie, thou Satan! Sayest thou that house is dark? As hell, Sir Topus. Why, it hath bay windows. I am not mad, Sir Topus. This house is dark. Madman, I say, there is no darkness, but ignorance. I am no more mad than you are. Make trial of it in any constant question. What is the opinion of Pythagoras concerning wildfowl? The soul of one's grandam might happily inhabit a bird. What thinkest thou of his opinion? I think nobly of the soul, and no way approve his opinion. Fare thee well. Remain thou in darkness until you fear to kill a woodcock, lest thou dispossess the soul of thy grandam. My most exquisite Sir Topus, he sees thee not. Now to him again in thine own voice, and bring me word. I am so far in offense with my niece, I can pursue this sport no further. Hey, Robin, jolly Robin, tell me how thy lady does. Fool! The lady is unkind perdie. Alas, why is she so? Fool, fool, I say, she loves a nut. Master Malvolio, I good fool. Alas, sir, how fell you besides your 5 wits? I'm as well in my wits, fool, as thou art. Then you are mad indeed, if you be no better in your wits than a fool. They have locked me in darkness, send ministers to me, and do all they can to face me out of my wits. Advise you what you say, the minister is here. Malvolio, Malvolio, endeavor thyself to sleep and leave thy vain bibble babble. Sir Topus, maintain no words with him, good fellow. Oh, I, sir? No, I, sir. God be with you, good Sir Topus. Fool, fool, I say. What say you, sir? Good fool, help me to some ink and paper and light. I will help you to it, but tell me true, are you not mad indeed? Believe me, fool, I am not. Nay, I'll never believe a madman till I see his brains. I will fetch you some light paper and ink. Fool, I'll requite it in the highest degree. Prithee be gone. I am gone, sir, and anon, sir, I'll be with you again in a trice, like to the old vice your need to sustain, who with dagger of laughs in his rage and his wrath cries aha to the devil. Like a mad lad, pare your nails, dad, adieu, good man, devil. Scene 3, Olivia's garden. Enter Sebastian. This is the air. That is the glorious sun. This pearl she gave me. I do feel it and see it. And though 'tis wonder, it is not madness. This accident and flood of fortune makes me wrangle with my reason I am mad. Or else the lady's mad. But here she comes. Enter Olivia with a priest. Blame not this haste of mine. If you mean well, then go with me, and with this holy man to plight the full assurance of your faith. What do you say? I'll follow this good man and go with you, and having sworn truth, ever will be true. Then lead the way, good father, heavens shine to fully fairly note this act of mine.
Once more, I'm Tim Mooney with the Timothy Mooney Repertory Theater, and I bring these breakneck shows to theaters around the United States. I would love to come and perform for you and your school or group. You can also find my work online at timmoneyrep.com with video versions of these plays at breakneckshakespeare.com. Finally, if you see the value of getting students interested in Shakespeare by way of the naughty parts, you can support these many explainer videos and our performance tours at patreon.com/timmoneyrep. See you on the stage.